In the hushed corridors of royal palaces, the air is thick with the scent of opulence mixed with the faint, metallic tang of dread. Imagine the weight of a crown pressing down, the chill of cold marble beneath your fingertips as you trace, the intricate designs of a family tree that loops back on itself, each portrait hanging on the wall, gilded and pristine, whispers secrets of bloodlines intertwined in a dance of ambition and despair. You stand at the intersection of history and fate, grappling with the unsettling truth. The pursuit of power can twist love into a haunting legacy of suffering. If you're captivated by the hidden stories of history, consider hitting that like button and subscribing. I'm curious to know where you're watching from. Each comment connects us across time and space, united by our shared fascination with the past. The pursuit of royal lineage was a relentless obsession in Europe, one that often came at a devastating cost. As the sun set behind the towering spires of Vienna, the Habsburgs plotted and schemed, determined to keep their bloodline pure. This fixation on maintaining a divine right to rule led to marriages that entwined cousins, uncles with nieces, and siblings in a web of genetic destiny. The ramifications of such unions rippled through generations, shaping the lives of countless women who found themselves shackled by the very lineage that was meant to elevate them. In the heart of the Hofburg Palace, Maria Anna of Austria was born into this tangled legacy in 1634. The grand halls echoed with laughter and music, but for Maria Anna, each note was a reminder of her isolation. As a child, she watched her cousins frolic, their movements fluid and unencumbered while she struggled to walk, her spine twisted into a painful curve. The palace physicians, with their starched collars and whispered consultations, treated her like an exhibit, documenting her deformities rather than offering solace. "This is God's will," they murmured, but Maria Anna understood the cruel truth. Her suffering was a direct consequence of her family's insatiable quest for purity. In the dim light of her chamber, she often lost herself in books, devouring tales of heroes and heroines who loved freely, unshackled by the burdens of lineage. Yet reality intruded with every court appearance, where the whispers of potential suitors turned into murmurs of disgust upon glimpsing her deformities. "She is a product of the Habsburg curse," they would say, their voices laced with a mixture of pity and horror. The weight of her family's ambition pressed down on her with every passing day, transforming her into both a prisoner and a pawn in a game of power. As Maria Anna's story unfolded within the palace, another figure, Joanna of Castile, emerged from the shadows of her own tragic narrative. Born in 1479, Joanna was the daughter of the Catholic monarchs Isabella and Ferdinand, and she too was ensnared in the web of cousin marriages. Her parents, cousins themselves, saw royal blood as a sacred bond, a divine connection that justified their choices. Yet the reality of Joanna's life was a haunting reflection of her lineage. Joanna's marriage to Philip the Handsome was orchestrated to solidify political alliances, but it quickly descended into a psychological battleground. Caught in a storm of jealousy and betrayal, Joanna's love turned obsessive, her reality warped by her husband's infidelities. "You are my sun, my moon, my stars," she would whisper to Philip, only to be met with cold indifference. Her madness, as they called it, was not a descent into insanity, but rather a tragic response to the isolation and manipulation she endured. As Philip's body lay in state, Joanna's grief morphed into a grotesque obsession. She refused to let him go, traveling across Spain with his coffin, opening it repeatedly to kiss the decaying remains. "He was my world," she would cry, her voice echoing through the chambers of despair. In the eyes of her family, she became a figure of madness, locked away for decades, a living testament to the destructive power of royal ambition. The stories of these women converge in a stark realization. The quest for power through purity is a double-edged sword. The Habsburgs, in their relentless pursuit to preserve their divine right to rule, sowed the seeds of suffering that would haunt their lineage for centuries. The chilling rituals of cousin marriages, once celebrated as a means of securing power, became a legacy marked by physical deformities, mental anguish, and the silent screams of women trapped in a cycle of despair. As the chapter draws to a close, the echoes of their suffering linger in the air, a haunting reminder of the price paid for bloodline purity. What other stories lie hidden in the shadows of history, waiting to be unearthed? The curtain rises on the next act of this tragic tale, beckoning the reader to delve deeper into the lives of the Habsburg women, whose fates were sealed by the very lineage that sought to elevate them. In the lavish halls of the Habsburg court, the air is thick with the scent of oil paint and varnish, the vibrancy of colors almost mocking the somber truths that lie beneath. Imagine walking through a gallery where each portrait, meticulously crafted, captures not just beauty, but the quiet agony of its subject. You can almost hear the whispers of history swirling around you, inviting you to peer beneath the surface and confront the haunting legacy of lineage. Here, every brushstroke tells a story, and every painted eye holds a secret, revealing the heavy toll of dynastic ambition. If you find yourself captivated by the untold stories of history, consider giving a thumbs up and subscribing for more. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Each comment connects us, weaving a global tapestry of curiosity about our shared past. In the grand salons of Vienna, the portraits of Habsburg women adorn the walls like silent sentinels, their beauty a stark contrast to the grim realities of their lives. Each canvas, filled with the vibrant colors of silk and gold, masks an undercurrent of suffering that threads through generations. As one gazes upon the likeness of Maria Anna, the pain etched into her angular features tells a story of physical torment and emotional isolation. Born into a family obsessed with maintaining their royal bloodline, Maria Anna's existence was dictated by a legacy she never chose. At the tender age of 6, she was already burdened by the weight of her lineage. The grand gala events that filled the palace with laughter and music became a stage for her suffering. As she watched her cousins dance without a care, she felt the sharp pang of envy. "Why must I be different?" she would wonder, her heart heavy with the knowledge that her spine curved unnaturally, a cruel manifestation of her family's ambition. The physicians who examined her spoke in hushed tones, their words coated with pity. "The Habsburg curse," they murmured, a term that echoed through the palace like a ghost. In the opulence of her surroundings, Maria Anna found little solace. The portraits that immortalized her beauty captured not only her physical form, but also the invisible chains that bound her. Each time she sat for an artist, she felt the brush glide over her skin, but it was the weight of expectation that pressed down on her, suffocating any hope of liberation. "You are the future of our line," her mother would insist, her voice a mixture of pride and desperation. Maria Anna longed for a life beyond the confines of royal duty, yet every day was a reminder of her limitations. Meanwhile, in the shadowed corridors of Spanish royalty, another tragic figure emerged, Joanna of Castile, known as Joanna the Mad. Born in 1479 to Isabella and Ferdinand, Joanna was thrust into a world where her worth was measured by her ability to marry well and produce heirs. Her childhood was not marked by playful innocence, but by the relentless pressure of expectations. "You must uphold our name," her parents would say, their voices laced with authority. The weight of their ambition hung over her like a storm cloud, dark and foreboding. Joanna's marriage to Philip the Handsome was heralded as a political triumph, yet it quickly became a source of deep emotional turmoil. Within the lavish walls of their court, the echoes of laughter masked a chilling reality. Philip's infidelities cut deep into Joanna's heart, twisting her love into a painful obsession. "You are my world," she would declare, but her fervent devotion was met with cold indifference. As he basked in the company of mistresses, Joanna spiraled into despair, her mental state deteriorating under the weight of betrayal. In the private chambers of her mind, Joanna fought against the encroaching shadows. "Am I truly mad?" she would whisper to herself, as the walls closed in around her. Her grief became a prison, and when Philip died suddenly, the world bore witness to her tragic unraveling. Refusing to let go, she carried his coffin across Spain, a haunting image that spoke to the depths of her despair. "He was my son," she cried, her voice echoing through the ages, a chilling testament to a love twisted by circumstance. As the stories of Maria Anna and Joanna intertwine, a grim truth emerges. The relentless pursuit of purity has cost these women their very identities. Each portrait, once a celebration of beauty, now serves as a stark reminder of the physical and psychological toll of dynastic ambition. The Habsburg women became living embodiments of a curse, their lives dictated by the very lineage that sought to elevate them. The whispers of their suffering linger like a ghost in the halls of history, provoking unsettling questions about the cost of power. What other lives were sacrificed on the altar of royal ambition? As the curtain falls on this chapter, the reader is left pondering the haunting legacy of these women, whose pain ripples through time, echoing the relentless quest for a purity that would ultimately lead to their undoing. What other stories lie hidden, waiting to be uncovered in the next chapter of this tragic saga? In the grand halls of Versailles, the laughter of courtiers echoes like distant thunder, a vibrant facade that belies the shadows lurking just beneath the surface. Imagine standing amidst the gilded chandeliers, the soft rustle of silk and satin brushing against your skin, while the scent of perfumed bodies fills the air. Yet, behind the smiles and lavish banquets, there lies a chilling truth. Each toast, each whispered secret, is steeped in isolation and despair. You feel an unsettling pulse, a reminder that the pursuit of royal lineage often comes at a devastating cost, one that reverberates through the lives of women marked by a legacy of suffering. If you are drawn to the hidden stories of history, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more insightful explorations. I'm intrigued to know where you're watching from. Your comments weave a rich tapestry of perspectives that connect us across time and place. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the opulent gardens of Versailles, Margaret Theresa of Spain was but a pawn in a game of political maneuvering. Born in 1651, she was thrust into a world where her worth was measured not by her intelligence or spirit, but by her ability to produce heirs. "You are the key to our dynasty," her father would insist, his voice a blend of pride and expectation. The weight of her family's ambitions pressed down on her fragile shoulders, obscuring any hope of autonomy. The lavish portraits that adorned the walls of her childhood home captured her beauty, but also concealed the painful truths of her existence. Each brushstroke revealed the delicate lineaments of a young girl forced into the role of a bride before she was even a woman. Margaret Theresa was married at just 15 to her uncle, Leopold III, Holy Roman Emperor, a union celebrated as a triumph of diplomacy but one that stripped her of her childhood. "This is your destiny," her mother whispered, the words echoing in her mind like a haunting refrain. Within the gilded cage of her marriage, Margaret Theresa faced insurmountable pressures. The grand celebrations masked a chilling reality. She was expected to bear children immediately, her body a vessel for the continuation of the Habsburg line. "The empire depends on you," the court physicians would remind her as they documented her every ailment with clinical detachment. With each pregnancy, the stakes grew higher, and with each loss, be it a miscarriage or the death of a newborn, the specter of failure loomed larger. In the dimly lit chambers of the palace, Margaret Theresa often found herself lost in thought, yearning for a life beyond the constraints of her lineage. The soft strains of music wafted through the halls, a bittersweet reminder of the joy that seemed forever out of her reach. "What is my value if I cannot fulfill my duty?" she would ponder, the walls closing in on her with each passing day. Her health began to deteriorate under the relentless strain, and as she became weaker, the court turned its gaze elsewhere, seeking new avenues for political alliances. Meanwhile, in a different era, Another iconic figure was trapped within the same oppressive legacy: Marie Antoinette. Born in 1755, she arrived in France as a young bride, the hopes of a nation resting on her shoulders. Yet, even as she basked in the splendor of Versailles, the whispers of discontent swirled around her like a storm cloud. "You must produce an heir," the courtiers chanted, their voices a constant reminder of her perceived failures. Marie Antoinette's marriage to Louis XVI was fraught with its own difficulties, each moment of intimacy marred by the weight of expectation. "Why does he not love me as I love him?" she would lament, her heart heavy with longing. In the opulent chambers of the palace, she wore the finest silks and jewels, yet felt like a ghost haunting the halls. The laughter of the court echoed around her, but it was a laughter that often mocked her, a cruel reminder of her isolation in a world that valued her only for her reproductive potential. As the years wore on, the pressure mounted. Marie Antoinette's attempts to bear children were met with heartbreak, each pregnancy marred by complications and losses, deepening her sense of despair. "You are cursed," the courtiers whispered behind closed doors, the gossip spreading like wildfire through the palace. The very lineage that was meant to elevate her became a burden, chaining her to a cycle of grief and isolation. The stories of Margaret Theresa and Marie Antoinette intertwine like dark threads in a tapestry, each woman emblematic of the tragic fate befalling those ensnared by the relentless pursuit of bloodline purity. Their lives, punctuated by moments of fleeting joy, were ultimately consumed by the forces that sought to control them. The laughter in the halls of Versailles and the grand celebrations masked a deeper narrative, one of despair, erasure, and a haunting legacy that echoed through the ages. As this chapter draws to a close, the reader is left with a chilling realization. The curse of bloodline purity stretches far beyond individual tragedies. What other stories lie hidden within the shadows of history, waiting to be unearthed? The haunting echoes of these women's lives linger, beckoning us to explore the depths of their suffering and the societal forces that perpetuated it. What awaits in the darkness, waiting to be revealed in the chapters yet to come?